everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a sublimation mug using your Cricut mug press. Now, Cricut will have you believe that with your mug press, you really can only use Cricut blanks and infusible ink. But if you didn't know, infusible ink is literally just sublimation ink printed onto sheets that you have to cut and weed. Sublimation is a lot easier and can be done so much quicker. I'm going to show you how to print off your design so you make sure you get a really good quality print, and then also how to set up everything so that everything comes out really, really nice. You're going to need some supplies. I recommend some tweezers. This is to pull off your design at the end. You're also going to want heat gloves. This is very hot when it comes out of your mug press. You're also going to want a mug press. Now, keeping in mind, do you have to use a Cricut mug press for this? No. There are lots of other great ones, and I will link some down below. You can also get tumbler mug presses, which can do both tumblers and mugs. And then you're also going to want some heat tape. Now, I will say this is one of my favorite things in my craft room. This is my heat tape dispenser, and it pre-cuts my tape for me. Absolutely love this. We'll link everything that we're using down below. And then you're going to want a sublimation mug. Now, keeping in mind that the mugs you buy from places like the Dollar Tree or IKEA are not sublimation mugs. Those mugs are just plain old mugs. And what is a sublimation mug, you may ask? It is a mug that is coated in a polyester product, and that allows the sublimation ink to dye it. In order to use sublimation, you need to use light colored products as well as things that are coated with that polyester. Now, if you want some more information about sublimation, I'll put my playlist down below. I've got tons of videos about it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you all the steps to this, not leaving anything out so that you can make sure that you know how to make your very own sublimation mugs. Before we head over there, though, let's go ahead and make sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. This is so easy to do with the Cricut mug press. You don't have to use infusible ink. You can use your own designs that you print with sublimation. There are places you can order sublimation prints from if you don't have a printer yourself. So we're going to use this adorable little otter design. I just thought he was so cute. And so what I'll do is I'm going to download this, and it's going to open up a folder and ask me where I want to put it. I'm going to save it in the folder that I'm using for this video, so I'm just going to click save. But there is an important step that you need to follow in order to access your design. I'm going to open this folder, and this is called a zipped or compressed folder. What you need to do is extract or unzip your folder. Now, it's very easy to do. You just click extract all and then simply click extract. That's going to allow you to access your design. Now, for me personally, I like to print my designs through Inkscape, but you can really print them kind of anywhere. I just don't recommend using Cricut Design Space because it puts the little printer registration marks, and you don't need those. There's no reason. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go open with, and then I'm going to choose Inkscape. But like I said, you really can print this through any program that you want to. It's very easy to do. You can even use Canva. You can use Google, whatever you may want to use is fine. Now, if you're using Inkscape, you don't have to worry about any of these. I just click OK. All those settings don't really matter when you're opening an image. Now, obviously, this thing is gigantic. It is a high quality design. So I'm going to go ahead and size this down. In order to size it down, I'm going to come up here to the top, and you see where it says PX? I'm going to change that to inches because I'm going to measure this in inches. Now, for this, you want to make sure that this little blue lock is locked. If it's open, it's going to change your scale. So you want to make sure that it is closed. I'm going to print this at about 3 inches. So I'm just going to change it to 3. Now, again, you can see it's pretty small. And the other thing I want to point out is that our page back here is a different size. So one thing that you can do to help with that is go to File, and you can go to Document Properties. And under Document Properties, you can change the size of your property here. So you can either choose to format it to custom, but they have like a bunch of other sizes here. And if you scroll and hold your little, sometimes it works. Mine's been a little bit funny, but if you click on the US, you can instantly change it to the US letter because that's the size we're going to be printing on anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Now I am going to print 2 of these so that I can do one on each side of the mug. If I want to do that, I can just right click here and click duplicate. And it's going to give me 2 of these designs. Now, just kind of put them on your sheet wherever you want them. It's totally fine. But one thing you want to remember is that when you're printing with sublimation, you want to make sure that you mirror your design. So let me show you, there are two ways that you can do this, and it's very easy either way. You can either flip them on your screen by using this little triangle up here at the top, and this is going to flip them horizontally. And you can see there that now this one is mirrored. It's important to mirror your prints because if you don't, they're going to be backwards on your design. I'm going to put this one back the way it was and show you the second way to mirror because either way works. We're going to go ahead and get ready to print these, and I'm going to go to File, and what I want to do is go down to Print. Now this is going to bring up some settings for you. One thing I want to point out, mine does not support a print preview anymore. I don't know why, but I don't really need it. But what we want to do is we want to go to More Settings, and that's going to bring up this big settings box that's going to have a bunch of things that you can change to make sure that your design comes out really nicely. So one thing I always check is to make sure that the correct page size is selected. And then I always make sure that the orientation is set to portrait. Under paper type, you can kind of test yours to see which one works best. But for me, honestly, premium photo paper semi-gloss works pretty good. But honestly, even the plain paper bright white works really well as well. I want to make sure to change my quality from standard to high. And then I want to make sure that color is in fact selected. Now we need to do two more things under More Options. What I want you to do is make sure you turn off your high-speed print, and this is where you're going to mirror it again. You're going to choose Mirror Image. That way you don't have to do it on the screen, but I like to do it on the screen because sometimes I forget. But what's really great about this is it will do it automatically for you. It's a really easy way to do that. Another thing I want you to note is that if you don't have all of these settings, it's likely because you didn't install your printer drivers fully. So simply go to your printer manufacturer's website, search for your printer model drivers, and you should be able to find them and install them again. And that way you should be able to come up with all of these settings. Now, all I simply have to do here is click OK, and then I can click print right down here, and it's going to go ahead and print this out for me. The first thing I do before I got started putting the stuff on the mug is I'm going to turn the mug press on by pressing the on button. That way it has time to heat up. Before we get fully started, I just want to show you, I did print this twice. So I want to show you, this one is pretty poor quality. The print just doesn't look good. It's really blurry. There's a lot of like splotching over here. This one looks much better. There's still a little bit of splotching. I do need to do a thorough clean to my sublimation printer. So I reprinted, and while I think I'm still going to have some red splotchiness over here, I think it'll be relatively okay. Just note that before you press, just give it a good inspection of your image. If you got splotchiness like this, you probably need to clean your printer. So what we'll do is we're going to cut these apart because again, these are going to go on either side of the mug. And rather than printing them spaced apart, I like to just print them together. And then I just trim them down. You can just use regular old scissors. This is just sublimation paper. It's nothing super special. And I do tend to trim a little bit more of the paper off of the sides on them just so that I can size them up a little easier. That's just a thing for me. Once I have those trimmed down, we are going to bring in our mug, and it's just a white sublimation mug. Got these from Amazon. I'll link them down below. I've been using them for years and they're fantastic. You're also going to want some heat tape, which I have in this great heat tape dispenser. And when you twist this, it pre-cuts the tape for you. It's fabulous. I love it. And then you're going to want some butcher paper, which I'll show you that in just a second. Now what I'm going to do is I want to line these up onto my mug wherever I want them to sit. Now it may need to be trimmed a little more just so that you can line this up. So you may want to trim the bottom off as well, and maybe some of the top. Again, really doesn't totally matter. It's fine. You can place tape over your designs and it will still press the image under your tape. The heat tape doesn't block the heat. It's just tape that can handle the heat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of heat tape and I'm going to place it on to my design. Now I can see my design a little bit through my paper. So I'm going to use that to kind of help me get it even. And then I look at my mug. I'm looking at it from the top. So I'm actually standing right here. I'm looking at the mug from the top and I'm using this handle to kind of guesstimate where the center is of the side. And once I'm happy, I'm just going to push my heat tape down and get that taped. Now you do want to use a few pieces of tape. You don't have to go ham. You don't have to cover your entire mug in tape. I see people doing it all the time and it's so wasteful. You just want to make sure that all of like the edges are held down real well. And like up here in this corner, yeah, I'm going to put some tape just so that it's holding it down. But you can see that my design is held down to the mug. Now I'm going to turn this. I'm going to grab another piece of tape, place it on my design. And then again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go from the top. And I'm going to get this about where I think it's going to be even with the other design and the handle. And then I'm just going to judge from the top about how far down I think it needs to go. And I think that's probably pretty close. Again, I'm going to grab some tape. And you're going to just tape this down along the sides. And you want to make sure you get those corners taped down. That's really where I'm finding I get a lot of issues, is if I don't tape the corners. Once I have my design taped down and I'm happy with it, where it's sitting, now is where we bring in butcher paper. And a lot of people ask me, what's the point of butcher paper? It seems so wasteful. It's actually to protect your press, which is now heated up. It's to protect your press from any of the blowout from the design from the ink. So I'm going to trim this down, and I trim it down so that it fits over my mug, so it fits over my design. Now when I'm working with Cricut mug press, you do need to make sure that the base of your mug can sit on the base of your press. So I move my papers so that it is like this, where the more paper sits over the top edge. Now again, you're going to want butcher paper for this. And again, you're going to see people wanting to use a boatload. I have been sublimating for years, and I am not like a big let's use a ton of tape girl, because I don't find that it makes a big difference. Now, when you are doing a full wrap, yeah, you're going to want a little bit more tape. But with this one, since I'm just doing 2 images, I just tape that butcher paper on. Now, you do want to make sure that your butcher paper is nice and tight. I always save that extra piece. That way we can use it again later. Now that our mug press is heated up, let me move you a little closer so you can get a better look. Now, with our mug press, what you want to do is place your mug into the open slot. And you want to make sure your handle is kind of in the center of that. And then you're going to press down this depressor thingy, and it's going to snug and hug your mug. Now, it's going to feel like you're going to crack it, but you won't. You won't crack your mug. Don't worry. But this needs to be really tight right here in order to press. Now, what you're going to see is at the top of your mug press, and I'll turn it so you can see, there is a dot, and it's going to flash. Now, that dot's going to flash for quite some time, and it's going to move through all the dots until it gets to the end. I'll try to catch the binging at the end, but sometimes I can't catch it because it just catches you off guard. But we're going to leave the mug in the mug press for the full time until it dings. I missed the little dingy beep, but it's okay. So once it dingy beeps, you open up the little door thingy, and you're going to want to use a heat glove because you may touch the mug and it's going to be hot. And I also have a silicone mat right here that I'm going to set my mug on. That way it's not on my table and it could burn it because this is very, very hot. What you can do is you can take off your butcher paper and your tape, and then you can reveal your design. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, let it cool. I don't let it cool. I'm an impatient lady. I don't tend to let it cool, and I don't have any issues not letting it cool, but you do you. You can let it cool if you want. I'm going to go ahead and pull the side tape off, and then I can pull the paper off. Now, like I said, I knew I was going to have that red bleed. That's not bleed from the image, that's bleed from my printer. And I should have a little bit on this one too. I just didn't have the time to clean it, but I wanted to show you how to do this. And that's okay if you have a little bit of bleed. Just make sure you clean your printer. I may have some on this guy too. Again, this is not ghosting at all. This is from my printer. And honestly, even with that on there, they're still pretty gosh darn adorable. But that is all just gunk from my printer. You can see that there's not ghosting, especially here on the Otterly word. We've got a little bit of that red over here. You can see kind of all that red's concentrated on one side. It's just because my printer is yuck and needs to be fully cleaned. Now I'm going to let this cool off and I'll show you what it looks like all finished. Here is the finished mug. It came out super cute, even with that little bit of red spotting. Like I said, I just need to clean my printer. I will get to it, I promise. But this video really is to show you that you can do sublimation with the Cricut mug press, even though they really don't tell you that you can. Keeping in mind that infusible ink really is just pre-printed sublimation sheets. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.